Welcome to Geocache Adventures with me, Shadow Dragon 1, where I explore the world of geocaching. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts or on the Geocache Adventures Facebook page. You can also follow Geo Adventures on Buy Me a Coffee for a behind-the-scenes look on every episode. That's one word, GEO Adventures. It's free to follow, or you can become a member and unlock exclusive posts and information. Your memberships go a long way for helping support the podcast and are greatly appreciated. Hi everybody, Amy Shadow Dragon 1 here, and with me today are the host of the Super Good Camping Podcast. How are you all doing?
We're doing great, Thank you. It's Thanksgiving here in Canada, so we're celebrating Thanksgiving today.
So can you each introduce yourselves and tell us what you do on the podcast as far as your roles are?
Sure. I'm Pamela, and I was the mastermind behind the podcast. And I do the intros, the outros, and Tim and I do a lot of the talking, and I do the transcription of the audio podcast into the verbal blog on our website.
I'm Thomas. I do most of the social media promo stuff. Occasionally Dad'll throw in a photo here and there, but I do most of that stuff. And occasionally I'm one of the voices.
And you do the backcountry camping.
Yes,
with your
I'm
dad.
also that.
I'm Tim. I'm the dad.
You're not my dad.
But no, that would be weird.
Yeah.
I go blah blah blah.
Shut up.
And I do some editing now. So
Yeah.
that's my role.
You guys have a really neat dynamic for your podcast, as it's all you're all a family. It's not just friends or something getting together like a lot are. It's a podcast by a family of family activities that you do, which is really awesome. And it's all about camping and outdoor stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How did you get started with that?
The mastermind. We've camped forever, for a long time, and it's something we really enjoy doing. I'm obsessed with it. So Pamela figured if I was going to be watching all those YouTube videos and, reading all those blogs and stuff like that, I might as well do something useful with it. So she said, let's do a podcast. And we went down that rabbit hole, and I don't think we're ever coming out.
And here you are.
Here we are.
That's awesome. So I had the pleasure of recently getting to come on your podcast, and you graciously let me come on and ramble on about geocaching, which I appreciate.
Cool. Yeah, totally
it was
cool.
a great episode.
And you guys had a little bit of geocaching experience before that. You guys dabbled in it.
Yeah.
But it had been a while, hadn't it?
Quite a while, yeah. The kids were quite a bit shorter the last time we'd podcast. Geocaching.
So when you first heard about geocaching way back in the day, how did you find out about it?
Yeah, I think it was.
Do you even remember?
May have been through scouting
Possibly.
that our youngest was involved in scouting from Cubs and into Scouts and into Ventures, and I'm sure we probably heard about it through then, or it may have been just me trying to keep him entertained.
I understand that. I understand that completely with my son. That's kind of what got me really going into geocaching myself. So I completely get that. So, Tim, it was you and Thomas that recently went back out and found a geocache together, right?
Yeah.
Correct. You threw down the gauntlet, so we took up the challenge. We often go places that are pretty far out. So not heavily traveled. So just for fun, I looked around. I thought maybe on the way up to one of our backcountry trips or something along those lines, we could find one. And we found one on not far off the path we'd already sort of planned out for our route because we canoe when we're doing backcountry. So we didn't have to make a lot of adjustment to see if we could go and find the geocache. It was on a river route. So that was pretty cool.
How long was that canoe trip that you guys took? Like how many miles, how many days? Was it an overnight trip?
8 days. I haven't actually mapped it out, but just ballparking it when we were planning it, it's about 50 kilometers all told. I don't know what that works out to in your world.
But about 30
Yeah, about 30.
miles.
Yeah, a little less. Yeah.
All right.
That's a serious overnight canoe trip.
We've actually done worse ones or
Yeah, or
hard,
better, depending on
yeah,
how you look at it.
more hardcore ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an eventful trip. Not absolutely nothing
Went to
according to plan.
No.
Yeah.
The lakes that we stayed on is about all that went according to plan. Everything else was
We didn't stay on any of the
Elsewhere.
sites we were supposed to stay on.
No.
We paddled the routes we were supposed to paddle. We paddled routes we weren't supposed to paddle. We paddled on days we weren't supposed to paddle because we got windbound.
We didn't paddle on
couldn't-
days
we
were
didn't paddle
supposed
on
to.
days we were supposed to paddle. It was fun. It kept it interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It
Exercise
sounds
and
like
adaptability.
total chaos.
Yeah.
You know what? By the time we got home, it was all smiles. So no worries.
Yeah. it was
That's
good.
great.
Good trip.
That's great. It worked out to be a memorable trip and everything worked out in the end, but it just sounds like complete chaos in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
So you guys being up in Canada, what is the weather like this time of year for you guys? I imagine it's getting cooler here, and
Yeah.
you tend to be a bit cooler than we are. So
Monday was probably the last nice warm day, and it's been pretty chilly since then.
We're still Celsius wise, and I'm terrible at the conversion. We're still double digits. I think it was single digits when Pamela went out for taking our puppy dog out for a walk this morning, but just barely. I want to say we're probably around 12, 13, 14 degrees Celsius right now. So not bad. I'm still in shorts. Like I'm
Yeah,
a
but
bit
you're
of a
weird.
whack job. So I wear shorts until well into October. It's fall. The leaves are changing color. It's crisp. We've had frost. So, growing season outdoors is over. We're not into ice on the pond, on the puddles or anything like that yet.
So it might be like 50, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. It's not bad.
okay.
And today's a sunny day. It's beautiful.
So not too horrible, not
No,
horribly
not yet.
different than what we've been having down here. High 60s, low 70s, but still 20 degrees difference. That I personally do not want to go camping in 50-degree weather without a heater. And I'm guessing you guys didn't take a heater on a canoe trip.
no, they're relatively useless. That's a really long extension cord, man. No, you know what we've got. I have a camping issue. We have so much gear. We can do, I think we three sets of sleeping bags, maybe four
Yeah.
sets of sleeping bags. So we can do middle of the summer. We can do shoulder seasons. We've actually got mummy bags, Thomas and I, that we can winter camp in,
Mhm.
like in a tent, no heat, snow on the ground kind of a deal.
Wow. So you're definitely prepared for whatever weather you guys are facing.
I
Yeah.
certainly hope so, man.
Hope we don't need any more gear.
There's always something.
Yes.
How far into your trip was the geocache? Was it day 4? Was it day 5? Was it towards the beginning?
Two.
Okay.
So it wasn't not that far in, though it did set the bar pretty high for a difficult day of paddling in terms of for the rest of the trip. So the rest of the trip felt easy after that, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Day 2, we got the first day didn't quite go. We got up to a rather late start, didn't make the time up on the highway, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So with the days getting shorter, we run out of light, and paddling in the dark, I can tell you, is a relatively terrifying experience. If it's not a lake you're used to, or not a water route that you're familiar with. So we avoid the heck out of it because we've had a bad experience with it.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't recommend it at all.
yeah.
We didn't paddle nearly as far as we'd hoped to on the first day. So the second day turned into, I think all told, we did about 7 hours of paddling and about an hour of geocaching
Hunting,
and
yeah.
lunch. Yeah, that was our deal. So we were
Yeah.
probably, I think we were 3 or 4 hours into our paddling when we got to near the geocache, and then
spent the next
we spent a
40
while
minutes.
searching for it.
Yeah.
So you picked this geocache just solely based on it was along your route, or did you have any other factors in that?
No, they're literally, again, because we're out in the middle of the boonies, there's nothing, people don't seem, it's not a highly traveled place, so people don't stash that sort of stuff. I looked around quite a bit to see, because we had 2 trips planned, and I looked all over, like, you know, an hour, 2 hours in any direction, and there was just this one geocache. So that was okay. Well, we're going to adjust the route a little bit, and we're going to go there.
How far out of your route, out of your way, did you have to adjust to go get this thing?
It wasn't crazy. It's hard to explain. We were sort of doing like a figure 8 type loop, or at least that was the intention, and we just dropped off one portion. Well, I guess let's say we dropped off the top and the left side of an 8, and we changed it into, we ended up coming back on part of the same route instead. So it wasn't quite a full figure 8. It was more like a 6, and then back up the top of the 6, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So it ended up being about, it was the same sort of distance. We just went in a slightly different direction.
Okay. So tell me about finding the geocache. What was that like for you guys?
So it was located on one island that was a group of sort of 3 very small islands. Or at least they would have been islands had the water levels been a little bit higher. We got lucky in a way that the water levels were so low, because we could simply walk between the islands without having to get back in the canoe, paddle to the next one, hook it back up.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just quickly interject. Out there, no cell signal. So we had an idea of where we wanted to go, and we try to do map and compass as opposed to GPS.
Okay.
So we knew roughly where it was going to be, and we knew what the hint was, but we weren't like to just pinpoint it on a GPS with the Geocache app. No, that wasn't playing it. So we had to hunt.
Yeah.
Thomas had to hunt.
Yeah. The hint was what was it? Near a tree.
Near a tree. Ha ha. It's a wooded area. There's a lot of trees, man.
Yeah.
Like even just that island probably had, I don't know, 8 or 10 reasonable hiding trees.
Yeah. So it took a little while of me looking at each tree, looking around the tree, in the tree, all sorts of anything I could possibly do to try and find it. And then of course it turned out to have been the tree I checked first. Hadn't spotted it when I checked it. Yeah, it was a bit of work, but worth it in the end. Very, very cool.
So was it like a small one? Was it larger? Was it in the tree, on the ground?
It was on the ground. It was, I don't know, maybe
it was a army ammo box.
An ammo box. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good size one.
Yep. And the thing I liked about it is it's got that rubber seal on it, and you crank it in, so it can sit out in the woods like that for how many ever months
needs to,
before somebody, the next guy gets there, or saves the, what's the right term, the fellow that stashed it in the first place, the owner, I guess. It saves him the hassle of having to paddle for hours to go and do maintenance on his geocache. So I thought that was a clever move.
Mm-hmm.
Ammo cans are a great container for hiding, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So was this, it sounds like it took you a while to find it, so I'm guessing it was well camouflaged.
Yeah, it was. It's a green ammo box in a very green area.
It's a good size box.
Yeah.
So you'd think it wouldn't be that easy to hide something like that.
But the way it was stashed under like very low lying branches on the tree that were green, lots of leaves, lots of debris,
sort of bush bit of business underneath the tree. So it was sort of the only thing you could see of it was the very top, and that was sort of green and black, so it almost looked like just bush with shadow on top of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was a good hiding job.
Well hidden, definitely.
Well hidden, it sounds like.
Yep.
That's awesome. So you found it.
Yeah.
You managed to get it open, I'm guessing.
Yep.
That's sometimes those caches like to stick when they haven't been open for quite a while.
Yeah.
Well, no, this one seemed fine. Everything
Yeah.
seemed good inside of it.
Yep. Didn't seem moist or anything.
Yeah,
Moisture inside.
no, it was it was great. And what did we do? We took obviously we signed the log.
Yep.
We swapped a GoPro mount or an action camera mount for a
little sort of sports
little
towel.
sort of hand towel thing.
Golf towel.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, with a little carabiner on it. Yeah, I get. Well, that's perfect. That's exactly what it is. Clip it to
Yeah.
your golf bag or whatever. But yeah,
He
there we
gets sweaty when he paddles, so I figured this would probably be a good thing for him.
so that worked out well. Yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Little shore lunch, which was also nice.
So I'm guessing island, the only way to get there was by the canoe or kayak or some kind of paddling.
Yes,
Yeah.
I suppose it would be possible to
Swim from shoreline,
to-
maybe.
to
but-
find a way through. We didn't see any evidence of pass, and for sure, if water levels were pretty darn low when we went. If water levels were normal, you'd be swimming from somewhere to get there or paddling. So we chose the paddling route.
Well, it sounds like it was a really interesting trip in general.
Yeah.
Interesting little detour with the geocache. So now that you guys have found that, what do you think of geocaching?
I enjoyed it when I was younger. I still quite enjoyed doing this one. This was definitely harder than I remember them being.
This was
Yeah.
We're inner city ones, so it's a bit of a different deal.
Yeah.
What the ones we've previously done. I honestly, I wouldn't mind doing some more of them now that we've had the opportunity to get back into it. Just if I can rack up 20 so that I can stash one out in the boonies like that, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So what did this put you at now, count wise?
7 or 8, I think. Not nearly enough.
So you got a few more to find.
I've got a few
Yeah.
more to find.
Yeah, definitely. You guys did one of those middle of nowhere, hard to get to,
Yeah.
not as common as all the urban and the lamppost and the city highs that
Yep.
the map is littered with these days. So the fact that you went and did such a different type of geocache than what a lot of people see is pretty cool. And the fact that you got to incorporate it into your trip that you already had going on, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that was cool. Well, I wouldn't. It's all your fault because we wouldn't have. I wouldn't have gone looking for it. It wouldn't have occurred to me to have tried it if you hadn't said so. So, thank you very much for that. That was cool.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for being such good sports in doing it.
No, that was just fine.
Was there anything you wish you had known before you went out to find the geocache?
Not specific to the geocache. Well, maybe in hindsight, I'd be a little less rigid about no GPS. That would have made life a lot easier. Would have shortened things up. Just because the day was, we were looking at a
Already
long
running
day.
long,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I wouldn't have minded shortening it up. But honestly, no, it worked out. It worked out fine. It was good. We don't do, when Thomas and I backcountry camp, it's destination to destination, and we sort of power through most of the time, eat a granola bar while we're doing it or something like that, as opposed to stopping. So since we stopped for the geocache, we turned it into literally our first shore lunch, and we
we've ever done.
Yeah. We made a lunch, like cooked up a lunch and stuff, sat, enjoyed the sun and watching birds, and it was good. So it added a positive thing to the entire trip. We did end up doing that twice, which we literally have never done before. So that was cool.
That's great. I'm a bit surprised you don't have a GPS as like a backup.
It's a discussion. We have a, I suppose for wayfinding, but again, most of the time we can read a map. I can read a compass. We have a satellite communicator, so we do have a a butt covering 101. It's got an SOS
Okay.
on it if one of us gets hurt or whatever, anything like that. And we can send out notices to the loved ones. The Pamela sitting at home worrying about the old out of shape guy in the woods, or my parents, because my mom's sitting at home worrying too. So we do that, but I'm resistant. I just don't want to, darn it. I like doing the way we do it.
The old-fashioned way with the map and the compass.
That's it.
Oh, I think it's great that you do map and compass, because it's such a lost art in a way. A lot of people don't do it anymore with the GPS units.
Yep. But I am an old school guy. Everything is paper and a pencil. Like, I write things down. I watch people take notes on their phone, and it's like, oh, okay. I write it down in a book, and I make lists and things like that. So
he paddles with a paddle he made in what year?
A long time ago, back when I was in Scouts.
Oh, wow.
A while ago. Yeah.
That's cool.
There you go.
So, do you have any questions moving forward about geocaching?
I have one while Tim thinks about that.
Okay.
Yesterday, I thought, I've got a couple hours in my day. Maybe it'd be fun to do one here in Toronto, and then we can talk about that too, maybe. And found one at a local library, and went there, and it was located, and it was obvious in the clue, so I'm not giving anything away, I don't think, that it was located in a shrub. So I thought, how am I going to walk around? And it's very busy, like downtown Toronto, lots of muggles about, and like, how am I going to be crawling around through the shrubs in front of this library without somebody thinking I'm some kind of weirdo doing something sketchy? So I don't know, how do you work around that?
Oh, that is a constant struggle with geocaching, and especially when first starting out, everybody seems to be kind of paranoid of, oh my gosh, I don't want to be suspicious. I don't want to attract too much attention. And I'm going to tell you, the biggest thing I have found is that most people aren't paying attention to anybody but themselves. Like, in all honesty,
Okay.
a lot of people just don't pay attention. Or I had a library cache once that I was trying to find in a bush, similar to what you were doing, and we couldn't find it. So we were there, probably me and my son. I was determined to find this thing, and probably spent a good 10 minutes looking, because it was 3 different bushes right next to each other, and it was supposed to be a small little bison tube. And I kept searching. Somebody came over and goes, "Did you lose your keys or something?" I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to find a geocache." And they just go, "Oh, okay," and walked off. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll be looking for something and somebody will come up and be like, "Are you okay? Can we help you?" And it's, "Oh, I'm geocaching." And they may have no clue what you're talking about. And it's just, "Oh, this is what it is." And I've seen so many stories from people on Facebook and different posts that introduced somebody new to geocaching when a muggle walked up and asked me if I lost my keys or something like that. Or, and sometimes people will say, I have had people talk about, yeah, an officer came up because somebody reported something suspicious, and it was me looking for this difficulty 5 geocache, and I just explained to him what I was doing, and he either knew what it was or was interested in learning more about it. So sometimes that stuff does happen, but for the most part, it's really not that big of an issue when it does happen, if that makes sense at all.
Yes. Because, not as bad as you think it's going to be. Police aren't going to escort you away.
And then if you are wanting to be stealthy, like walking the dog, that's a great way to do it. A lot of people like to geocache with their dogs. You take your dog with you. You stop and stand there. Oh, dog's got to do its business. Let the dog sniff around. You're actually looking around and looking for a geocache, and then you spot it and do the old, pretend to pick up after the dog trick.
Okay.
Or I've heard people go, "Oh yeah, especially with cell phones today, it's like if you're in a spot and you're waiting for muggles to move on, you can just stand there and be like, answering something on my phone, or I just thought I need to look up something." And everybody's on their phones, and there's nothing suspicious about that, for sure.
Right.
And then there's always the old, I need to tie my shoe, so I lean over and mess with my shoestring. There are some different things that you can do. I've actually heard some people say when they're out caching in urban areas, they'll wear like a safety vest and a hard hat. And then people just think it's a utility person or road person. So there are different things if you want to be stealthy about it.
Perfect.
Wow.
Tips for not looking like a weirdo.
Or you could actually, I've seen t-shirts and different things that literally say, I'm not suspicious, I'm just geocaching. So you can
that's
always
not a
get
bad
one of
idea
those and
either.
just wear that when you go
Yeah.
out.
Just be forthright about it.
Cool. I like that. I like to look like a, whatever, a utility
Utility
vest.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely little tricks, and if you want to try to be James Bond and be stealthy, you're more than welcome to do it. And if you happen to attract attention, usually it's a pretty easy, oh, I'm just geocaching and looking for this container, and most people are either like, oh, okay, or here, let us help, or just kind of want to know more. A lot of times they're just going to go, oh, and walk off. So
Okay.
Cool. How far, sorry, your interview, but I have to ask, how far, like if you, other than on vacation, how far away, like obviously around town you're doing them, but do you like just go, okay, well, today we're going to have this kind of time. We're going to drive 2 hours and go look around this area for geocaches.
I have done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, I've done a day trip and met other cachers a couple hours away and done that. I'm out running errands. I wonder if there's something here in this area and grab a quick one. On vacation, definitely look up, see what's in the area and do something. But yeah, and a lot of cachers, especially because you have kind of your home base where you're at, and there's so many caches around you. And once you find all those geocaches, you start going further and further out because you want to continue caching. So it is definitely a thing that cachers do, and I've done myself, to go a couple hours to get a geocache. And it's also a great way to just explore the neighboring parts of your state too.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Well, I think we've got being, totaling at 7, one of them being a faraway one. I'm pretty sure there's plenty more around here before I have to start traveling for them, but
I'm sure there are, and especially, I mean, geocaching's been around for 20 years now, over 20 years. It's 22 years. I get confused on that because we just had the 20th anniversary celebration that got postponed 2 years because of COVID.
oh,
So,
of course. Right.
so I've talked to people that have been geocaching since the very beginning, and in 2000, it was, yeah, we found the geocache in the state. Versus now you pull up the map and they can be everywhere. So it has definitely evolved a lot in 22 years. And I bet you would be surprised at where you find geocaches in your everyday life that you have gone by so many times and had no idea that's been sitting there for 5 years or more.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I got the app again and started to look, it started knowing what my geolocation was. So it showed me a map around here, around our place here in Toronto. And I saw ones that the name looked familiar. So I think they're probably ones that we'd done, but there were dozens of them just within, I don't know, 15-minute walk of here. There were dozens of them. So yeah, it's getting
where 8 or 10 years ago there was not. There was like maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, we had to search around to find them when we were doing them before. Whereas now I think we could probably just walk a block and find one, walk another block, find another.
Yeah, and especially the more you travel and the other areas you visit, it's interesting to see the different ranges of types of containers and places that they find to hide them. Like if you start caching your area more, you may discover that there is a favorite type of container that people in your area tend to hide.
Oh yeah.
Like I've talked to some people, and especially for what they call a park and grab, just a real quick, you can pull up, park, grab. A lot of times it's under like a lamppost skirt in our area. And in my area, the favorite container for that is an old prescription bottle. And I've talked to other people that in their area, you'll find Altoid tins, like just those little metal Altoid tins, as the favorite container for that. And when you look at the geocaching names of the owners, you'll see that it's all hidden by different geocachers. So it's not just the same person putting out the same type of container over and over again. So it's interesting to see the regional trends like that in areas.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of containers, the ones that you use for like food leftovers with the snap
And lock
lids.
and locks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a popular favorite for sure. Lock and locks and ammo cans and bison tubes tend to be, I don't want to say like your stereotypical containers, but they're definitely popular containers. And when people are talking about sizes of containers, you'll hear those referenced a lot.
That makes sense. What's that last one you said? Bison containers?
Bison tube. So it's and I think bison tube is actually like a brand name, but it's a small round cylindrical metal container that has like a little key ring on it that is actually like a type of pill container. So somebody could put their medicine in it for like the day or the afternoon and put it on their key ring, and it's got a little rubber seal around the top of it to help keep moisture out.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's probably, I mean, they're probably like maybe 2 inches big, and they're maybe about, I would compare it to a nickel here in diameter.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the Canadian equivalent of a nickel is anymore these days.
We have
It's
nickels.
about
We
the
still
same
have
size.
nickels.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one time I went to Canada, I was like 11, so it's been a long time since I've seen Canadian money like that. So
Yeah, I think our nickels are the same.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a smaller metal container like that, and they're typically referred to as bison tubes. That might be a brand name. I don't recall offhand, but yeah, you sometimes find them in the pharmacy section at stores as little medicine containers.
Okay, cool. I'll look next time I'm at Shoppers. Shoppers Drug Mart is our standard.
CVS,
Yeah,
it's like our
Yeah,
CVS.
CVS or Walgreens.
Walgreens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
So back to your question of do I have anything? Probably, I think there's enough around here that I can rack up my 20, but by the time I hit 20, yeah, I'll probably have questions then. Although I did listen to your How to Stash your own geocache podcast, so I'll probably go back and just re-listen to it and make more notes, because I started to make notes and then I heard you say 20. I was like, oh, because I really wanted to hide one on that trip that we just did. I was looking forward to that. So hopefully we can rack up
Next
enough
year.
by next year. Yeah.
Well, and when you do get to that point, or any time in between now and then, if you're geocaching and have questions, you've got my contact information. Feel free to reach out and I will answer
cool.
what I can. And definitely check out Facebook groups. They're a great source of information. There's global groups, there's local groups. And it's a great place to post questions, and you'll get all sorts of opinions and answers, because everybody's got an opinion on everything. So
So it sounds like my camping groups.
yeah, I'm sure it's very similar in all groups. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Well, thank you three so much for coming on my podcast and talking with me. And thank you for being such good sports and going out and adding that geocache to your trip.
No worries at all. We
enjoyed it.
That was good. It was it changed a handful of things for our trips, so it made it interesting. It was good. I'm happy to do it anytime.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was a good experience for you guys. Thank you for listening to Geocache Adventures. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have you heard of FTF Magazine? It's the magazine for geocachers, filled with articles and snippets sent in by geocachers just like you. I'm a subscriber myself, and I love it. Check them out today at ftfgeo.com and tell them Shadow Dragon 1 sent you. Would you like to be a guest on a show or have a topic you'd like to hear covered? Reach out and let me know. Just go to the geocacheadventures.org website and click on the contact page to reach out.